Hey, it's Tim. Pickup Truck Plus SUV Talk, joined by the 5-foot wonder of the world, Jill Ciminillo.
Hello.
Jill Ciminillo. Yes. So, interrupting
No,
your
nope,
Thursday
that's
night.
salmonella. Let's be
Yes,
clear.
Ciminillo. Interrupting your Thursday night football game. But anyways, they haven't kicked off yet. You want to be watching us instead. That game's gonna be boring. Anyways, we are doing kind of I'll be honest with you guys. We tried to do a live stream Monday, I think, and then we thought, no, we need to do Tuesday because that's something going on.
Yeah.
Then we both kind of didn't get the Tuesday done. Then we thought, okay, let's do Thursday or Wednesday, and I didn't feel good on Wednesday, so we didn't
I
quite
know
get
at
that
like 6
done.
o'clock, I was like, are we still doing a live stream
So
tonight?
yeah, I kind of we kept punting this down the road, if I
Yeah.
use a football, terminology. But yeah, so I wanted to get one done before Christmas, and we'll do one next week. We promise of our year end, what we drove, what we liked, what we didn't drive. Like, I don't know. We'll just like whatever we have figured out. We have kind of a rough, not very rough.
Best of. We'll
The
do
best
of.
The best of, yes. So, Jill, we have a couple things going on tonight. First
Yep.
thing was I did a video last night that kind of exploded on me, or yesterday afternoon, whatever the deal was, which I kind of was still shocked about. So I had messaged Jill earlier in the day, and I said, I keep thinking about it, and I just can't buy the Tacoma. It's a fully loaded model's coming out. I have to get the $55,000 model. I have no other choice, and I just was like, man, I just can't. It's just too expensive, and it's not really what I want. I feel like I'm rushing into this, and I don't like this whole idea. You got to be first on YouTube, or you're gonna lose all the views, and it's just I can't do it. And you guys watched the crapola out of that video, and I have my reasons in that video. And I was interested that I've gotten quite a bit of positive feedback. Always a few trolls here and there, but quite a bit of positive feedback. But one of the feedback I got, and I want to discuss this with Jill a little more, was, people said, well, why don't you just go buy the Colorado or the Canyon? I should say Colorado Canyon. And I guess my reasoning is, and I don't know how you feel about this, is you don't have to be first on YouTube, but you can't be 27th on YouTube, right? I mean, you can't be so far behind the game that nobody's going to watch the videos. And this is really based on Google Trends data. It's based on when the vehicle comes out. And so I feel like at this point, if I got a Colorado, I'd be 27th on the game, right? I mean, I couldn't buy a 2023. I'd have to buy a 2024.
And those are not out yet.
They're not out yet. And there's nothing really new. They dropped it's surprising to me, they dropped the mid tune and went full high tune, which is the right decision to do with when they launched it, and 6 months later they killed the tune, which is kind of weird. But there's really nothing. I can't think of anything really new. I mean, we did get, like Jill pointed out on the website today, we did get the pricing for 2024. And by the way, that Bison,
Is expensive.
holy cow, which I think the base without options Bison was 60. Like wow.
And you got to get the ZR2, and then you add the $11,000 Bison package, and that's without any accessories, options, or anything else. Just those two things.
Right. Yeah. So I guess in my thinking, I would buy the Bison because, again, if you're not going to be first and you're not going to be 27th, then you got to be, I guess, more unique would be my viewpoint on it. Cars Made Simple here. He's going to check his he's a dealer. He's going to check his pricing book. But yeah, so I was like, well, I can't do that. And then somebody else said, well, buy the Ford Ranger. Now the Ford Ranger is really a rather interesting thing. Because I know, again, I have the same deal with Ford Ranger. I will say the Ranger Raptor is $57,000. It's not that expensive. Dave's has an order of All-Terrain Nation. Our friends over at Ryan Dothwith over at what's the channel?
Isn't it
Driving Sports
Daily? Oh yeah, Driving Sports.
Yeah, he has a Ranger Raptor reservation. Mm-hmm. He actually talked to me about like getting it, but then they got pushed back 2 more months. So yeah. I mean, we haven't even. You are on NACTOY. You are on one of the biggest voting panels in automotive media. We have no idea if the Ranger's coming out soon, or Raptor's coming out.
Have you seen the Ranger?
I've seen it in person one time. Was it May? May?
Yeah, June? I haven't even seen it. I haven't even seen it in person.
Right. So, like, you haven't seen it. Have you heard of any drive events?
Mm-mm.
I know. So, I mean, I haven't heard of any driving events. I haven't heard of anything in this truck, and it is interesting. I would point out that I did the Google Trends data. I should pull it up for a little bit in a little while. The Tacoma destroys the Colorado for sure, destroys the Canyon. The Ranger's fairly close.
Interesting. Well, I mean, so there's not a lot of information about the Ranger yet. That's I think part of
Right.
the situation is people just don't they don't know anything yet.
Right, because I mean, you like you said, you are more. I want to say people don't understand this. You are more in tune with that stuff than I am. In that you should have access before I do because you are on a jury. I mean, you have more information on that, and you have not heard
Calling
anything.
me
So,
snotty
well, I mean, it's snack toy as
and
much as I.
entitled. That's what I feel like you're calling me.
Well, but it's but I'm saying it's as much as I give Nactoy not the best from my viewpoint, but still, I mean, Nactoy is still Nactoy. So this is something that I want to explain to people. This is what I look at from the business, and Jill and I talk about this. Jill factors in the decision making, and we look
I'm
at this
looking
stuff.
at headlines and story ideas, yep.
Right. So this is Google Trends, and Google Trends is searching for these 4 keywords: the Toyota Tacoma, Ford Ranger, Chevy Colorado, and GMC Canyon. If you listen to the podcast, by the way, I'll explain this a little more. I'll be your narrator a little bit. And basically, it's a chart that goes from December 20th, 2023. So it's the last 2 days, last couple days of search traffic. And it's done by times a day and who's spiking, whose search traffic is spiking. And if you look, the numbers are basically pointed out like this. The Toyota Tacoma at 5:56 at night almost had 60 clicks. The Ford Ranger had 30. Chevy Colorado had 20. And GMC Canyon had 6. So the Ranger, Tacoma doubled the Ranger in overall clicks in that time period.
But it looks like you have it set up for just the past day. Can you go for the past 30 days or something like that?
Let me see what I can do here. Here we go. There's a metric here. So past 30 days. There we go. That makes more sense. So it gets even worse for the Ranger. So I mean, on an average day, it looks like, would you say Tacoma's right along the 75 click line? Probably. Yeah. The Ford Ranger is right above the 50 click line. The Chevy Colorado is right above the 25 click line. And the GMC Canyon is right around the 10, 15 click line. Would you think that's a fair thing to say?
Yeah, I mean, I would say Tacoma is between 75 and 100. It kind of
it spikes. Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's one of those things where it's like I would love to I'd love to base these decisions on what I buy on my overall desires and what I really want.
Kind of what you did this year, though.
But yeah, I did, and it didn't work out for me. Right?
I know.
I mean, so I mean, this last year, Joe brings up a great point. This last year, I did not have much choice. There wasn't very much new this year, and so I really wanted to have the Chevy Silverado 3-liter diesel, and so I bought it, and it did not perform well. And I think a couple factors. The Silverado was just a refresh. The diesel is confusing to people. They want to know whether that's the heavy duty diesel. They don't understand they don't understand the light duty diesel. I'm convinced that they don't understand the light duty diesel. The Frontier. So Todd Dombrowski, you want to look at Frontier? I'll pull this up. Let me do it one more time. So people say, let's do the other one. Let's do Honda Ridgeline. I'll do Toyota Tacoma, Honda Ridgeline. What do you think? Nissan Frontier, Honda Ridgeline. Jeep. You want to do Jeep?
Gladiator.
Yep, Jeep Gladiator. So I'm going to take this and share my screen. I haven't actually looked at data yet. I'm just going to live right here. So, yeah. This is the past day. Let me do 30 days, as Jill pointed out.
You did.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, it's not even close. I mean, the Frontier does better than the Ridgeline and the Gladiator does, but you are like, even one of these best days, I got 30 to 17. So 30 Frontier, 23 Gladiator, 17 Ridgeline, and 87 Tacoma.
But I will point out Ridgeline does better than Canyon, and it looks like Gladiator does better than Colorado.
Ooh. And by the way, the reason we call it a Chevy Colorado is based on this data. You guys do not search for Chevrolet Colorado. You are, I mean, it's neck and neck. So purple is Colorado, Frontier is red, and Gladiator is green.
So I think
Frontier and Colorado do about the same.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's it's one way to look at the business. I mean, I do tend to look at that quite a bit. Jill and I use that quite a bit because, you know, it's like, why would you write a story that you guys aren't going to search for? That makes dumb.
Well, that people aren't interested in.
Yeah.
And obviously, if there's something that our audience is specifically interested in, like we would be apt to cover that, even if the general world isn't interested. But if we're just looking for story ideas.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm not against the Frontier. I think the Frontier is a great truck. I'm not against the truck
that should have been bought like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when it was like all new.
Exactly.
It's not all new right now. Like if they do a significant refresh, you know, that would be a different story.
Yeah, no, I totally think that's completely accurate, and that's, you know, like, so when I bought the 21 F50 Power Boost, that was kind of a refresh. Although the Power Boost was kind of interesting because it's the first time I had a hybrid in a truck and power on board. The 22 Tundra was all brand new, completely brand new. So that one was the best one we've ever done. So that one spiked quite a bit. The Chevy Silverado didn't do what I wanted to do. We even tried modifying it and tried different things. It just didn't really pull off. And so, yeah, it was kind of those things where, like, I look at that stuff.
Yeah.
Jason wants to know, are there YouTube search charts as well? YouTube has such a analytics background and data. You could spend months looking through stuff. I don't find that they have a search charts, but understand that Google owns YouTube, and so they don't really need to create the same thing over and over again. So, yeah, that's kind of what I go off of. I mean, thing is, it's just business. I mean, I'm not brand loyal, as I put on our forum. By the way, forum plug number 1. But somebody said you're only loyal. A fan commented back, goes, "You're loyal to your viewers," and I think that's accurate. Like, I look at what you guys are searching for, what videos you guys are watching, what are you guys interested in. Like, I'm not here to, I'm not here to just buy what I want and screw you guys, and that's why I'm gonna do it. I mean, you know, Jill and I go out there and collect data, we collect information, we do reviews, we do information, we try to get information to you to make an informed decision as a consumer. But we also look at stuff like, all right, well, what do you guys want to watch? What do you guys are interested in? Like, I don't want to buy something you guys are not interested in. It doesn't make any sense to me. So that's kind of what's behind that. I mean, I think the Ranger Raptor especially, a huge man crush in that shelter green color. And when Jill sees it, she's gonna be like, "Oh, that's what Tim's talking about," because it is quite good. And Jill will probably get a chance to drive it before I do because of NACTOY. I mean, or who knows what's gonna happen with that? I'm hearing crickets from Ford on that. I mean, we did cover the story, the Colorado and Canyon 2024 January sometime, as they're looking at getting production started again. And that's just a byproduct of UAW strike and suppliers not knowing what's going on and getting parts and getting ramped up. So yeah, that's gonna be a while till that comes out. But so keep your questions going. I'll be curious. I'll answer more questions, but I want to get to the other topic tonight because this is quite the controversial topic. And I put the journalist, the real journalist, capital J, Jill, who has more educational framed images on her wall of degrees than I do, in charge of breaking down the kill switch, or not the kill switch, or maybe the kill switch, or sort of the kill switch, or what the hell's going on, Jill?
It's not a kill switch. You know, I mean, I find it funny that the interwebs have completely latched on to this word, kill switch. And so I was like, okay, you know, and before I like dug into the story, I'm like, I need to research this. What in the hell are people talking about? Like, I honestly, Tim was like, everybody's talking about the kill switch. And I'm like, not everybody, because I haven't heard about it. So I like had to literally go on Twitter and like search for kill switch. And then I had to like do a little internet search, and a lot of the conversation was back in January of 2023. But then there was a recent discussion that popped up because I want to say it was December 12th. The NHTSA plunked down a 98-page document on the internet kind of detailing what they were doing. So backing up even a little bit further, this all has to do with the infrastructure bill that was passed in 2021. And as a part of that, the bill calls for the NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, to create a rule for vehicles 2026 and moving forward that would prevent impaired driving. Now, the idea is to prevent drunk driving, but I think that the verbiage is actually impaired driving. So NHTSA breaks that down to drunk, drowsy, or distracted driving. So they have to come up with a rule to create something that will go into vehicles standard. So like brakes are standard. This thing would be standard in your vehicle that will prevent distracted, drowsy, or drunk driving. And so a lot of people are like, well, that's a kill switch. Well, okay, what exactly is a kill switch? I looked it up in the dictionary, and the dictionary says
nerd.
Well, look at my background. I probably have dictionaries for 5 different languages back there. So I could probably tell you what kill switch means in Latin. Well, maybe not, because they didn't have that phrase back in, then. But a kill switch is essentially a remote device that somebody is standing by the side of the road and hits a button and your car turns off. That is not what they are trying to put in your car. That is not what they're putting in your car. That is, I'm going to say it one more time, that is not what they're putting in your car. So using the word kill switch, I'm going to get fired up on this, because using the word kill switch is grammatically and factually incorrect. It is not a kill switch. Now, what I think that they are going to do, and again, there's a 98-page document that talks about all of this. I read it. It took me a couple of hours, but I read it. And what I think that they are essentially going to do is take technology that is already in new vehicles right now. So there's a camera in a lot of vehicles that have the level 2, semi-autonomous driving that's watching your eyes. They're going to take that camera, or there's sensors that watch whether or not you're doing a lot of this or whether you're doing a lot of this, distracted driving, looking at a text message, all that kind of stuff. They're going to take that technology that's already in cars. They're going to make it standard, and it's just going to do what it already does.
Yeah, Frank points out, he wants to know, they want the tech that watches your face. There's also technology in cars that will alert you to say, hey, you need to take a break. Have you been driving too long? Pull over, take a break.
A little coffee cup that pops up.
Yeah, I mean, that happens too. I mean, so I think there's a lot of fear involved in this, because there's some scenarios that people are thinking about. And I was talking to my wife about this actually before we went live, and we're discussing it. And there's the idea here is if you get in your vehicle and you are impaired, or in some way there's some metric that your eyes are doing, somewhere your head's doing something going on, that the car wouldn't start. That's kind of what they're trying to hope for. That's the best scenario. There is some fear involved of saying false positives. I think that is the biggest fear out there. What happens in a false positive? My wife, your husband, is having cardiac arrest, and you want to throw him in the car and we go to the hospital as fast as you can. You may not show the signs that you are drunk, but what happens if it's a false positive? And that's what NHTSA has said. NHTSA has asked for public viewpoint and public feedback on whether or not you're willing to accept a false positive. And I think that's a real question. That's just something that, technology is great when it works. It sucks when it doesn't. And so if the car is not let you turn it on because it thinks you're drunk, even though you're sober, but you have something else going on.
But it's not, again, impaired. It's not just drunk. It's drowsy. It's drunk. It is distracted. So it's not just drunk. And I think that's the other thing that people are getting hung up on is, there was a senator or somebody who got before the, grand jury, Congress, whatever. He's all over Twitter talking about the kill switch. But he was like, you're going to swerve to miss a pothole and your car's just going to shut down. No, that is not what's going to happen.
Right.
So I mean, and frankly, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know because the NHTSA hasn't decided yet. They're looking for feedback. They're trying to find something that's going to not have false positives. But I will tell you, even when I was driving home today, So I'm driving a Ford F-350 right now. Insert
Hilarious.
but I'm driving a Ford F-350 right now, and I had on the adaptive cruise control. And there were two very interesting things that happened on my way home. One, I had the adaptive cruise control set, and I'm stuck in stop and go traffic. It took me an hour and a half to go like 20 miles. And there was a dark car in front of me. And at one point, the sensors did not read that car and started to speed up. So I'm going like 5 miles an hour. The car is like 10 feet in front of me, and the car starts to accelerate. I was paying attention, so I put on the brakes and I turned off the adaptive cruise control. Had I not been paying attention, I would have hit that car. So that was thing number one that happened. And then thing number two that happened, I was driving, and I had one hand on the wheel and I had one hand on the armrest. And I was driving, but I wasn't like going like this with the steering wheel. And there was a message that popped up that told me to put my hands on the wheel. My hand was on the wheel. I'm going like 5 miles an hour. My hand was on the wheel, and I had to like kind of, sorry, knocking over my water bottle with my hands. But I had to like give the wheel a shake for that message to go away. So there is still like imperfections in the technology. How much of that is going to be stamped out by 2026? I don't know. So when you talk about false positives, like that, to me, both of those instances were false positives of a directive that was incorrect. So I think there's going to have to be some checks and balances. I think that there's going to have to be, it can't just be something watching your eyes, and it can't just be like a camera watching the road and looking for swerves. It can't just be one thing. I think it's going to have to be multiple things that then feed in to give a more accurate representation of what's going on. It can't just be a sensor on the wheel, saying, oh, put your hands on the wheel, because again, my hands were on the wheel. I just was going straight at 5 miles an hour. I didn't need to be going like this. Right. So I don't know. I mean, the technology is imperfect.
And I think that you're right in that one of the biggest things I thought from this standpoint was that basically Congress said, hey, to go ahead and take care of this. Figure it out. 2026, make them mandated. Like, pie in the sky, like they still think that the cars drive themselves. They think we get flying cars in 2 years. And so I think that the Congress kind of screwed it up. They should have said, hey, work on this. If there's a good solution that has low false positives that we can all agree to, maybe there's a conversation. But there's an interesting part. There's been a lot about, again, the fear of what about the kill switch can be triggered by law enforcement. There is nothing, but there is some fear about that. I mean, you could see what I think is interesting about this kill switch drunk driving is I have a friend in town who installs the breathalyzer tests on vehicles, the pipe you blow into. And so we already have that. We already have that going on. Again, Tyler wants to know who would be getting access to use this tech. Officers. There's some fear about invasion, privacy concerns, which I think privacy concerns are good.
But what the 98-page document said is nobody is having access to this information.
Okay. No, I think that's why you did a great job, service for all of us, by reading that document, because I've read government speeches before, and there is some stuff. Outdoor Dad points out fear because the government has said they want to limit people's driving and traveling. That's not quite accurate. There are some states that are worrying about EVs and how to tax them correctly and how to tax per mile. There's been some conversation about that. It hasn't quite come out that way because, again, Outdoor Dad says, to his point, privacy concerns, you can't do that. So we have this government says, hey, let's do this idea. Then privacy concerns say, no, we're not tracking people's driving. So there's definitely some going back and forth on that.
Anybody who's concerned about privacy, if you have one of these, you're already screwed.
A phone, yeah. I mean, there is
a modern cell phone. Like everything you do is like Siri is listening to me right now. They're listening to you right now. Yeah. So I mean, I have an Alexa. If you have an Alexa, your privacy is gone. So I mean, it's just one of those things. Like, yes, you should be concerned about your privacy, but you've probably already given it all up.
Right. So I mean, there's some back and forth. Our friend Justin points out, I honestly don't know how they can determine if someone is impaired within entering the vehicle and trying to start within 2-3 seconds, unless it works with Face ID. I don't know. I mean, that's something that automakers have to figure out too. I did. So Jill and I we wrote a couple of stories on this. I wrote one, and she's like, "Nah, what the hell's about this?" And so you wrote another one, which is fine. I don't really care. But the Chevy Tahoe and the Chevy Suburban have infrared like sensors in the vehicle that if you have your phone on you and you're sitting in your recliner and your vehicle, somebody's inside your vehicle or something moves inside your vehicle, it actually will alert you. So there's two sides to this. The side that says I want my privacy, but also, hey, if somebody's in my vehicle, you need to alert me. So there's two different viewpoints of that.
So let's take this even one step further. The Subaru Forester. I don't know if they're going to be putting it in the new model, but the up level trims of the Subaru Forester have facial recognition. So there's like a camera above the center stack area that when you get in the vehicle, it scans your face and presets your like your seat, your radio, your mirrors based on your face.
We've talked about a lot in our industry because we travel a lot, and traveling now in certain airports, they read your face before you even go through the ticket counter because they can know whether what seat you have, what's going on. So there's, but I think what's interesting is people will say to me like, why doesn't the front camera of my vehicle XYZ doesn't it record stuff like a dash cam would? Why do I need to have it separate dash cam? I think it's a really good question. If the camera's already there, why don't you record stuff? And in certain vehicles, I think it's starting to roll out that way. And so you want to have the information of the vehicles around you. You want to record that, but you don't want to record yourself. So it's privacy, not privacy. Privacy, not privacy. I mean, it's an interesting discussion where we're at. And I think it's great. And that's why NHTSA asked for 60 days, 90 days public involvement. And you put the links on the website on the post. You can weigh in. I don't know. It's until I can see the technology, until I can understand what they're trying to do. Because you and I both have issues, like you pointed out with the F-350. We've had issues with new vehicles that don't work the way they should.
Yeah. Well, I mean, definitely. Like I said, technology is imperfect. It is far from perfect. And to I can see what they're trying to do, but I can see how they have an uphill battle. And I think 2026 is like way too soon.
Joke.
To get it implemented on like Kia Rio. I mean, they're saying like every new vehicle, like the Nissan Versa, this $18,000 vehicle has to have this technology. So that's another argument or another thing. Like, what's that going to do to our vehicle prices?
Yeah. I mean, I've said many times in different podcasts and different live streams we've done where one of the biggest factors to new vehicle pricing is mandatory safety equipment. Mandatory backup cameras, mandatory airbags, mandatory this, mandatory that. Well, automakers aren't just absorbing those costs. They pass along to consumers. And so the more stuff we have mandatory, the more it's like we got to pay more for the vehicles. Vehicles are already expensive as it goes. Todd brings up an interesting point. Why do I think insurance companies are more likely to track your driving? Isn't an insurance company already doing this? Doesn't it want
if they have this thing? No. It's Progressive. I think it's called Snapshot. And if you plug the thing, like the USB port thing into your data computer, I actually have a friend who has it on his car, and he was like showing me his app, and it will send him messages. You braked too hard just now. That's not distracting. While I'm driving, you're telling me I'm braking too hard. All right, Mom, I don't need you in the car next to me. But so there are some insurance companies that do have the thing that will monitor your driving and give you a discount based on good driving. But what's good driving? And your good driving is not my good driving, because to not get killed in Chicago, like if you don't stop fast and accelerate fast, you're going to get hit.
Right. Yeah.
Like in Nebraska, like if you stop fast and brake fast and go fast, people are going to think you're nuts.
Yes, exactly. That's why you guys don't know the behind the scenes. I never say anything about Jill driving Chicago. When I'm with Jill in Chicago, she drives any way she wants. I never say a word. Now, in rural like Iowa, I would say something to Jill, but she does in Chicago. I have nothing to say.
You can take Jill out of Chicago. You cannot take Chicago out of Jill. That's all I would like to say to you.
Yeah. Another question about system being hacked by Rick. This is something that has actually happened. Wasn't there? Do you recall? Was it Tesla did a couple years ago? Somebody hacked Tesla, was driving.
it was Dodge. I
Was it
feel like
Dodge?
there
Yeah.
were white hat hackers that
Yeah.
literally have been going around proving how easy your vehicle is to be hacked. And this has been going on for like 10 years. So this is
Right.
not.
Yeah.
So yeah, your vehicle can right now be hacked.
That's like a Hollywood plot with Tom Cruise and some music. Sinister Badman. I mean, I'm putting out there, but
Take
yeah,
Tom
I mean,
Cruise
there is,
yes.
yeah. I mean, that's a concern I have too. Like, I don't want my vehicle to be hacked, but as vehicles become more rolling computers, for better or
Everything
lack
can
of
be
word,
hacked. If you have smart technology in your house, it can be hacked.
right? That's why I have dumb technology.
As in manual, you have to like crank up your garage door. You don't have a garage door opener. You have to like take it up and down.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
It's gonna be interesting what's gonna happen with this. It's just, it's again, I think another instance from my standpoint, a government trying to move too fast. Another instance of let's let technology go its course. Let automakers bring it out. Let automakers work on it. Let's see if we like it, don't like it. Let's decide whether or not we want to buy into it or not. Let's not jump the gun on this. But yeah, I mean, you can see the comments that people are concerned, and I agree with a lot of these comments. There's a lot of concern out there. So but we don't know the problem with these concerns, and not a problem, but the issue is we don't know what it is.
Well, and I think that there's a lot
Yeah,
of misinformation that is circling
there
because we
is.
don't know what it is. And so, like, I feel like I posted on LinkedIn and I said, "Slow your roll, Chicken Little." I mean, the
Right.
sky may be falling, but we don't know that yet.
Yeah, we have no idea.
We have no idea what this technology is. The one thing that I do know for sure is that it is not a kill switch. It's not
Yeah,
a
I mean, it's so I think, and I would say this. I think that the vision for this is good. Drunk driving still kills. Was the number
It was like
13,000?
13,000. So I think it was like 13,600 and something fatalities in 2021. And then,
That
which
was the
is
layest data.
data. And I
Yeah,
feel like it was 12,000 on top of that that were alcohol related. So
right.
one would like they somehow distinguish between drunk driving and then alcohol related.
Yeah, and I think that ending drunk driving is a good thing. I'm not against that. I think that's a good thing. I think, in today's world, I mean, if you're drunk driving, I mean, my God, it's come
Call
on,
it Uber.
man. Like, I mean, even in my area, it's not really call a friend. I mean,
Fair.
there's, I think there may be an Uber here and there, but just stop. Like, just don't drunk drive. Like, I drink at home. Like, people always talk to me about my drinking on a live stream, whatever. Oh, you shouldn't drink because you talk about cars. No, I drink at home. I'm not driving. I'm gonna walk to my friend's house, my neighbor here in a little bit, and watch the football game. I'm not leaving. I'm not. There's no key in my pocket. I'm not leaving. If I need to go somewhere, my wife is right outside. She's sober, hasn't had a drink at all night long, and so we have an agreement that I'm not gonna. I don't drink and drive. I don't drink during the day. I'm not that kind of guy. Just at night, I like to have a drink. So I think that is the big deal. Like, let's stop drunk driving. I don't think anybody is against that. But how do we get there? How much more technology do we need? And then the thing you got to remember too is 2026. The average fleet age is 14 years, 16 years, somewhere in that realm. I mean, my goodness, we are looking at like 2050 by the time this becomes more of a standard equipment across more vehicles.
Yeah, I think I think the number you were looking for is 11. I think the
Is it
average
11 average age? Yeah.
on the I mean, we have 2016.
Yeah. So I
So
mean, so think about the math there. I mean, you have 2026. I mean, you're looking at the person buying it new would hand it off to somebody else used. I mean, by the time that first gets third, fourth time through, the really cheap used car, you bought it for fuel economy, whatever. I mean, that at that point, 2,000, 3,000 $3,000 car. At that point, it would have that, and we're talking a decade or two down the road. So things could change. We could all be aliens flying around in flying cars.
right, or I mean, everything could be driverless. I
Yeah.
I remember having a conversation with I think it was our friend Ed Kim, who is the chief analyst over at Auto Pacific, and talking about the upcoming driverless cars and what happens to people who want to drive. And he was like, well, I could foresee a day. And we had this conversation probably 4 or 5 years ago at this point. But he's like, I could foresee a day where, you know, every car on the road has to be driverless, hands-free, you know, or if you want to drive your own car, you'll have a membership to a racetrack somewhere, and you can go drive your car on your own time. Like, you'll have to have it towed driverless to this car, or to the track, or maybe you'll garage it at this track. But the only place you'll be able to actually manually drive your car is in these restricted areas, similar to, and he like actually equated it to a gun range. And he's like, you know, people aren't just, you know, walking around shooting guns like the Wild West. You go to a gun range to use your gun, or you go to a specific area, you know, an allowed permitted area to hunt, you know. And so he's like, I could foresee a day when a car and driving a car is going to be like that.
I completely agree, but I had to chuckle. C-Square cracked me up.
Okay.
He says, C-Square says, don't drink at home while talking about cars. Who made that comment? The church lady?
Maybe.
I want to bring up the other comment because I think this is a very controversial comment in my world of thinking. Elliot Manning, who's a great fan of the channel, Michigan, good guy. He says, I'm sure we're having similar conversations like this about being forced to use seatbelts, and now no one thinks twice. I can tell you that I have family members who refuse to wear seatbelts. In Nebraska, they changed the law to say that you could get pulled over for not wearing your seatbelt. It was a pullover offense. I don't know the legal terminology. I don't know. Would you say it was?
Pulloverable.
Yeah.
I'm making up the word.
Right. Out of your dictionary behind you. Anyways, so the constituents of the state got so upset about that to petition the state government, and they actually switched it back. So you have to be pulled over for something else: broken tail light, expired plate, aggressive driving, whatever. And then the seatbelt is actually an infraction based up above and beyond what you got pulled over for. And cousins, I know. I talked to a friend the other day, not a friend, person I know, that kind of deal, right? So not a friend, but a friend. And yeah, they don't wear seatbelts at all. And on I-80 here in Nebraska, years ago, and it still sticks in my head, there was a husband and wife who got killed in a rollover accident down in Kimball, which is about 45 minutes south of me. On I-80, they rolled over next to semi. I don't remember how they did it, but they were sitting on their seatbelts.
Yeah, so the ding doesn't chime.
Yeah, exactly. And there's actually, I'm not going to put the link up here, but if you go to Amazon and search for it, you can actually buy the clip, the end of the clip of the seatbelt. You can actually put it in. So for whatever we decide to do, as far as whatever rule comes out, whatever kill switch comes out, for air quotes, there is going to be a person who's going to find a way around it.
Well, and funny you should say that. In the 98-page document that I was reading from the NHTSA, it explicitly stated that if you took it someplace to disable this, that would not be illegal.
Really? No way. Because wow.
I mean, maybe I read that wrong, but you know what? I took notes. Let me see if I actually.
Because the EPA has been all over this delete issue with diesels, and like if you delete your diesel in the United States, they like go after you. Although in Canada, what's interesting is in Canada you can do it. There's no problem. I find that really weird.
Oh, here we go. So, where'd it go? Okay.
Can you share a screen? Can you?
No, it's just I like wrote notes. So, okay. So while NHTSA encourages individual vehicle owners not to degrade the safety of their vehicles or equipment by removing, modifying, or deactivating a safety system, the Safety Act does not prohibit them from doing so. This creates a potential source of issues for solutions that lack consumer acceptance, since individual owners would not be prohibited by federal law from removing or modifying those systems, i.e. using defeat mechanisms. So I read that and I was like, huh, you're just saying that we're going to put these in here, but it will not be illegal for you to deactivate them. Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. I remember being years ago at Toyota headquarter event, which is they're not doing it this year, but they bring out new vehicles, new technology, whatever. And we're sitting there watching a presentation on the latest, newest safety technology from Lexus and how the car can almost avoid accidents and do stuff. And this lady raised her hand, and she had on herself like just different clothing than I'm used to. Let me just say it like this. And she had this jacket and all kinds of different things going on. And she had all these Lexus for life and Toyota fans, all kinds of stuff. And she says, yeah, great conversation, great presentation, but how do I turn off all that stuff? And the engineer's jaw dropped, like, because this is his job. And I thought it was kind of a rude comment personally, but he had done all this work on this, and she wanted to know how to turn it all off, like not have it at all. And so there is this place in the marketplace where it's like, we're going to create Blue Cruise drives itself. I never want to have in my vehicle ever. We're going to create a situation where the seatbelt chimes going to go off 5,000 times. I don't wear a seatbelt. We're going to create a situation where drunk driving is going to be alerted, and you're not going to be able to drive your vehicle if you're drunk. I want to turn that off immediately. I mean, if you have this really interesting back and forth going on of consumers and automakers and government, and I just sit back my popcorn. All right,
yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I am all in favor of consumer choice, and I don't want the government involved in my shit. I really don't. But am I going to wear a seatbelt? Yeah, I am, because I was in a car accident when I was a kid and I wasn't wearing a seatbelt and I almost died. So, yep, I'm going to wear a seatbelt. So, but hashtag Darwin. Like, I think people should have the choice whether or not what affects them to make that decision. And to me, seatbelts are one of those things. Whether you wear a seatbelt or not only affects you. Right. However, you driving drunk in a car could potentially affect me if you hit me. So, like, I'm a little bit in favor of trying to figure out how to stop you from doing stupid shit that's going to kill me. Because I may be doing everything right, but, then, some guy, who had one too many.
Or girl.
Like coming the wrong way on the highway, crashes into me and kills me. Like that I'm not in favor of. And like right now I have a situation where I have asthma and people in my building are smokers. Totally cool if you want to go out and smoke. Totally cool. But when you smoke inside of a non-smoking building, and I wake up to that every morning and I can't breathe, like now I have a problem. And unfortunately, like I'm in a situation where my landlord isn't going to do anything about it. So it may be me moving again, but it's one of those things where it's like, do what you want to do. Totally cool with that. But as soon as you start affecting my rights, now I have a problem.
Yeah. It's always come down to the question of, is it about you or other people? And that always comes up in all my different comments and different things I do articles on and you do articles on. Dave in Canada, who's a big fan of the channel, says, I have a Christmas sweater that's pull-overable.
See, pull-overable. There you go.
I paused that comment, so I just took a while to get that comment in. And it isn't interesting. It's I don't know. You can go back and forth on how all this stuff can happen. I never met somebody in Canada or in Oregon that has no worn a seatbelt. These Darwin Award contestants. The sad part is, I have family members who have had their family member die in a road accident where they would have been survived if they had a seatbelt on, and they do not wear a seatbelt still. That boggles my mind. I mean, as you pointed out, you had good reasons. One of my wife's uncles, he didn't wear a seatbelt. No seatbelts. And then all of a sudden, he had a friend that died in an accident, and seatbelt has saved him. And he goes, these seatbelts, they're probably a good idea. And from that moment forward, he made all his family wear seatbelts. And it seems like that's the way it comes across in this world. It's like if it doesn't impact you, it's fine. But if it does impact you, then it's like, oh, wait a minute, my opinion's changed. And I think that sadly, that's how we learn. I'm scrolling down.
So now that I've had a couple of people bring up this comment, I just want to say the answer to that is no.
The question is, Andrew Ramirez, I can see Jill wanting to take away the Second Amendment.
Tim, tell them how I feel about the Second Amendment.
You do understand that Jill actually has a concealed weapon license. Like she is a gun owner. Like she has been in a carjacking. Like you screw with Jill and Jill's pulling out something and you're not going to go away without limping. That's just probably a good way to say that.
I find it funny that people make the assumption that I'm against guns, and whenever I tell people that I own a gun, they're always like, what? you own guns? And I'm like, why would I want to? Like, I'm like, now that I've just told everybody on the internet that I have a gun, like, why would I want to advertise that? It's nobody's
Right.
business.
It's not something, yeah, it's not something you talk about. I mean, and Jill and I talked about it offline, and she does go and fire her gun. She knows how it works. And do you do it on a not a regular, but is it a couple year thing? You go to a shooting range, and not to get too much in details, but I'm
Well,
sure you're aware of it. You think
yeah,
about it.
I mean, there are so many hours you have to do to get a concealed carry, and I'll be honest, my husband does not have the concealed carry, so I keep my gun in a gun safe, and
One
he
more
doesn't have
thing,
access to it.
one more thing that John's got to report about. Yeah, it's Doug says, I was waiting for Jill to jump on those comments. Seems weird folks think that. It's like, and I don't understand that comment either, because I own lots of rifles and I go hunting with the rifles. I don't own I wish I owned a handgun because I really do want a handgun. But I'm not against Second Amendment, but I'm not like, hey, we should all carry around bazookas. I mean,
No,
I think
and
rational people can make rational discussions about things.
let's be clear. I learned how to shoot guns when I was in college, when I was dating a guy who owned a farm.
Yeah.
And I went deer hunting, and I have not always lived in Chicago. So I have a very healthy respect for firearms and for people who own them and for people who know how to use them and for, people who, respect them.
Yeah. All right. Dust Daddy wants to bring us back, and Dust Daddy has been a fan of the channel last couple, I haven't say month or two, maybe longer. I'm not going to disagree with him. He wants to talk about trucks sometime tonight, and he is on the forum. By the way, the forum.
Second plug.
The second plug. I'm going to do maybe a third plug. If you're listening to the podcast, whatever, it's fun. Here it is. We talk about different things. I respond to things. I see pictures of your trucks. I got Dust Daddy to go on the forum, and he even commented. He goes, "You twist my arm, fine. I'm on the forum." So yeah, he's on the forum. There's conversations about the GMC Canyon over there, about what happened to Frontier, no excitement for Frontier. What else? Oh, I made a comment about the ads. I'm working on the ads. I hate ads. I hate ads. It's a thing we have to have. I don't know how it's how we get paid. It's how I get paid my money back on putting money in the forums. It's how things happen. So lots of stuff going on there. Yes, there's a forum. What the? I had no idea. I don't know if that's being sarcastic or not. Yeah. Doug's new member of the forum. Thank goodness. Yeah. Oh, Doug. Oh, wait.
New member on YouTube.
New member on YouTube. Doug, you became a new member of YouTube. I don't talk about that very often, but there is actually something I should say. I'm sorry, Dust Daddy. Give me a minute. There is an option now. Before I publish a video, I can publish to the members first, and I have been using that option. And members are getting easily 3 to 4 hour head starts on videos versus the other people that are watching the videos. Yeah. So
and you joined the forum too. Thank you, Doug. You do.
Yes, Doug is. I would say this. I can't wait for Doug to be in the forum. Doug has been a fan of. I don't want to say mine, but Doug has been watching my work since I was Thunder headquarters. Oh gosh, that's been a decade ago. The website still exists. It's one of the first websites I ever wrote for. I don't know if I can actually find a post I did. Let's see, because he took it down for a little bit. I don't know if he took it. There it is. Wow. So where am I at? I got to find my right screen here. I got too many windows open. Let's see. So yeah, boom. Author archive. The last story I wrote was a 2006 Toyota Tundra that had 14,000 LED Christmas lights.
LED Christmas very lights. Timely.
Yeah, very timely. So that's 2006. Yeah, it's been a hot minute. But that truck was 2006. I don't know if the article's got a date on it. Let's see. December 26, 2016. That's the last time I wrote for the website. Wow. It's been hot.
And that was about the time you started Pickup Truck Talk.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I did. And I wanted to start it because I was doing freelance, also running Thunder headquarters, and I wanted to do my own thing. And that was the first time. Oh gosh, Jill and I did live
We did the
podcast.
podcast.
Was it 16 or 18 or something in that realm?
It was definitely after 2016 because I was in. I do it by where I've lived in Chicago. I was in my place on Belmont at that time.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean it's it's been a hot minute for that, but yeah. So it's been what 20. So let's just say 2017 for the hell of it. 3, 4, 7 years. Wow. Justin was still in high school in 2016.
That's adorable.
Oh, we have another controversy. So Andrew wants to know, and get back to Doug's comments about and excuse me, Global Wildfire Equipment's here. Thank you for joining. Glad to catch you in the live stream. I do like these live streams. You guys hop on. I'm sorry we don't do them more consistently, and I'm sorry who we are. But this is a holy cow. This is the topic we're going to end tonight on. I heard that Chevy and GMC are going with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. I heard their new software has had issues with those systems. There's been a lot of conversation about Chevy Blazer EV winning Motor Trend Car of the Year or whatever. There's been a lot of I'm not going to say good comments about that, but I believe the last thing I read from GM was that they want to take away CarPlay and Android Auto because it's a safety issue.
Oh yeah, I thought that was adorable. I thought that was such an adorable comment that whoever it was made. It's a safety issue to have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in your vehicle when you could just say, "Hey Siri," and sorry Siri, not actually asking for you right now, but you can say that in your car when your Apple CarPlay is connected and voice commands, and it always works. Like it never misinterprets my voice. It never has a problem with what I want. You can do everything voice commands, sending text message, all of that stuff. But they're calling that a safety issue. And so instead they want you to use a native system that may or may not have good voice commands. I don't know, may or may not be able to understand my voice. I always have problems doing voice prompts with native systems. I don't know about you, but it never works. It's like, I would like to go to Belmont Avenue. And it's like, you would like to go to Church Street? And I'm like, no, Belmont Avenue. Belmont Avenue.
Well, considering I mumble and talk too fast, my track record is not very good either.
Yeah, but so like to clarify, right now, General Motors is doing away with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto in their electric cars. So they aren't doing away with it in their gasoline vehicles yet, at least not that I've heard.
As of right now, with the news we have, I mean, good to clarify that.
They're saying it is in their EVs because, okay, there's two reasons why they're doing it, and safety is not one of them. One of the reasons they are doing it is because they want you, especially in an EV, to use their native navigation, which, by the way, is a subscription. They want you to use the native navigation so that it will talk to the vehicle and say, like, okay, I'm going to Indianapolis and I have 200 miles to drive. And on that 200 miles, it will find charging stations along the route if it thinks I need to stop. And it will accurately predict how far you can go before you need to stop and charge. So therefore, you need to use this native system, which is a subscription. I'm going to say that again. So that you will arrive at your destination without range anxiety. So that would be one reason, they would want you to use their native system. Okay, I kind of understand that. But the bigger reason that they want you to use their native system instead of Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is, they want to charge you a fee. They want to charge you a subscription fee. They want to make money off of you to use this stuff. And then the other thing is tying it back to the kill switch and the privacy conversation from earlier. They want your data. They do not want Apple to have your data. They want your data. And then they want to charge you for it. Those are the reasons why they're taking away Apple CarPlay.
I feel like you use the word adorable in like as a sarcastic tone.
Whatever would give that away. Adorable. So adorable.
Because as soon as you said adorable, I knew exactly the way you're saying that word adorable. And I was like, okay, this is like, it's like taking the tennis ball and serving it up to like Serena Williams. Like, here you go, Jill. Here's tennis ball. Have a good time with it. It comes back like this deflated mess. Like it's all ripped open. This ball is empty. I mean, that's
You get two Jill rants tonight.
I know, we got double Jill rants. It's a Christmas miracle.
It's a Christmas present for you.
I agree. I think GM is making a massive mistake here. And it's interesting because there's a story that in our private Facebook group we use for auto journalists and stuff. It's mostly private, whatever. There's a new system with Porsche and
I think Mercedes also has it, and it's the new like Apple CarPlay takeover.
Yeah, it takes over the dash plus the infotainment system. It's another big brand. I forget. It's not Mercedes. But anyways, same idea. So and Porsche is Mercedes. I mean, VW, it makes sense. And it's Lucid is comparable with the other company. Oh, Aston Martin. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Porsche and Aston Martin. So like it's like they're like taking over this whole idea of getting rid of the entire systems completely, and it's going complete Apple or Android Auto or whatever system they're going to use in that vehicle, which I thought was pretty interesting because automakers have historically like spent billions on software, and like why? There's a conversation that's been a lot.
Wheel.
Right, exactly, and journalists have talked about this quite a bit. Like, why not just work on the drive dynamics, the powertrain, and the styling and interior, and leave the rest, the whole,
leave the Apple tech companies.
Right? Yeah, tech companies. Yeah, tech companies historically have overthought the transportation issue. They think they're too smart for it. They overthink it. They create these things that we don't want, that don't go the range, and they're very bespoke, like expensive vehicles. I think I used bespoke the right way. It's a tough one. I might have looked up it in Jill's dictionary. Anyways, so I think why not just let Apple do its thing or Android do its thing and just be done with it?
Yeah, and I mean, I can kind of so I just did, if you guys didn't catch the video, I just did a 1,400-mile road trip in an EV, drove from Denver to Seattle in the Volvo XC40 and C40, and they use an Android powered system, so Google powered system that talks really well to the vehicle, and it gives you accurate range because you have the traffic, the accurate Google traffic maps that talk to the range computer, and it'll say you're driving 250 miles and you will arrive with 10% battery life. And I'll be darned if 9 times out of 10 I didn't arrive with 10% of battery life. I arrived with 100% of what they told me. But Volvo is not taking away Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You can still use it. And so, I mean, how I would use a system like that is I would program in my destination to give me the appropriate range estimation. But then I'll be honest with you, I would put Waze up so that I can see where the cops are. And, especially between, on I-65, like between Chicago and Indianapolis, there's cops at regular intervals, and Waze is very accurate in telling you where they are. And I mean, I usually like put my cruise control on and just go, but it's just nice to know. It's just nice to know. And so, I would use the native navigation, which Volvo, it is going to be a subscription, but I think you have a 3-year trial period and they haven't given you any information yet on what that subscription is going to entail or be. But I mean, they're all trying to figure out how to make money on you. And that's just one way.
Well, I just think the audience is like, oh, wait, what? Jill carries a weapon and avoids the cops? Like, oh my gosh, who is this girl that's on the live stream? Like, I think the little princess image you have is kind of tarnished a little bit. They got a little bit thing.
Clearly, people have not met me or listened to me or like paid attention to me at all.
Wow. Welcome to Jill that people don't know. I want to end on one thing because this is a great comment by Craig Marsh. And first thing he says, you guys are young, I guess, which I got to tell you what, thank you, sir. I had some gray hairs this morning.
You're not see the gray in his beard. He's old.
Yes. And I want to say thank you for that. He says that a 1999 Cadillac Escalade that had OnStar, they already had the ability to disable the vehicle. They had lawsuits where a wife got mad at her husband and reported.
Probably reported it stolen.
I feel like I remember that story. I feel like I remember that stuff going on. I would agree. I am quite young and I do appreciate that comment. So yeah. So yeah, check that out. Yeah. So I think that's it for us tonight. I don't know that I have another Jill rant in me. One more thing.
No more Jill rants.
Yeah, that's what we got for you.
That's what I want to say to you. I'm even wearing like my Christmas sweater, kind of.
You are. I have a gray shirt on. There's nothing on it. Yes, I am working on. By the way, I'm working on Pickup Truck Talk. I'll see you down the road T-shirts. It's in progress. That's my little snippet there. Hopefully by the new year, I'll have these things for you to buy. These merch, as the kids call it, more merch stuff.
Merch.
But Merry Christmas, everybody. We'll see everybody after the holiday, or Happy Holidays, or however you decide you want to do. I don't really care. Whatever you want to do, it doesn't bother me at all. Have a good holidays. Enjoy time with your family if you can. If not, you'd be like me in a recliner with a glass that isn't water. And have a good time with what's going on during Christmas. Oh, Nick Wilson. Wow. We got $5 from Nick Wilson. He says, wish you both and your respective families a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thank you for live streams. Thank you. Thank you for $5. That's great. Wow, we need a bell or thing.
I know, ding, 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 ding.
Yes, I do appreciate that. And thank you for 160 some people on, 75 one time. We should
it was the Jill rants. It was the Jill rants that did it.
Should we do some more Thursday night stuff? I don't know. This is kind of interesting.
I know. I feel like Monday night we usually only have like 100 people.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know, but I keep looking at the corner of my screen because it says this number. I'm like, whoa, look at that number.
Jill switch.
And then for those, but I always want to say this, and I want to make sure I include this in the show. For those who are out delivering our packages this year on the semi trucks or the planes or we have a guys in the area who do like contractor for UPS. Thank you for what you're doing. I really do appreciate that. You're keeping the economy going, keeping us all happy for holidays. You're doing a great job. So thank you for all the semi truck drivers out there. Your time is valuable, and we do appreciate what you're doing. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. So thank you to our service workers, and again, thank you to all of our viewers. Yeah. Tim and I have a lot of fun doing these live streams and like reading your comments and talking to you guys and getting to know you a little bit better. And so it's always nice to see familiar people on here and return viewers. And I don't know, we read all the comments, so we haven't been able to read them all probably while it's going on because I've been ranting. But I'll go back and I'll read comments afterwards. And on our videos and everything, we try to read and respond and pay attention to like what you guys are commenting on. So thank you for you guys.
Yeah, I agree. All right, from both of us, happy holidays, love you people, and Merry Christmas or whatever, Happy New Year. We'll have a show next week because we have to do our best of wrap up. Yep, as always. Thanks for watching. We will see you down the road.